What's happening, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with yours, Kwame Fisher Jones. As always, I am him. There are a lot of people talking about who this year's MVP is in the NBA. And while it can be a discussion, damn sure ain't no debate. The answer is simple. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. One man, three names. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's arguably the best player in the NBA, and that's a dispute based on your preference. Some people like steak, some people like chicken, some people like fish. Doesn't matter. You're talking about the best player in the NBA. He's in the conversation. He's definitely in the picture, and he's probably in the front row. You know, I get the argument about Joker. I get the argument about Anthony Edwards. I can even understand a couple people talking about Jason Tatum. But when I see a player with the most 30-point games in the NBA, leading the league with 47, that's pretty impressive. The feat is even more impressive when you consider the fact that his second and third leading scorer is 19 points and 17 points a game, and they're both second-year players. So let me repeat that. Stewart is averaging 30 a game. He leads the league, 30 plus a game, leads the league in 30 plus points a game with 47. And he plays with two guys who one is playing in his first season in the NBA, albeit he did have a year when he was able to travel with the team, train with the team, eat an NBA nutrition plan, get NBA coaching, play evaluation, film study. But this is his first year on the court. And another dude in Jalen Williams, where this is his second year, 12 pick in the draft, averaging 19 points a game. And they currently rest number one in the Western Conference. It's because in a league where a lot of players kind of lean towards attrition and take breaks and consider resting and getting themselves in, I guess, tip top shape. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. Shai shows up against the best teams in the NBA. And your top three seeds, whether it be in the Eastern Conference when you got Boston, Cleveland, and Milwaukee, they haven't played the Bucks yet, but they played Boston, they played Cleveland. And in the Western Conference where you got Denver and Minnesota rounding up their top three seeds, the Thunder are 8-3. And it's not just 8-3, like, okay, well, he's played 11 games and 8-3. He's shooting 57.5% from the field in that 8-3 record. He's giving you, I want to make sure I have this right, 36 points a game against the top teams in the NBA. And he's played in all 11 games, which you cannot overlook. As we watch Kawhi Leonard get rested, as we watch LeBron James deal with injuries, as we watch Jason Tatum disappear in Denver, yet again, critical moment, MVP candidate, 5 for 13. At some point, we're going to have to stop waiting for Jason Tatum. But that's a story for another podcast, another show. When you consider those things, and then you consider because Joker plays with Jamal Murray, top pick in the draft, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, another top player in the draft, Aaron Gordon, another top player in the draft, you start to have to consider that perhaps, just maybe, that team might be pretty good. And that perhaps, just maybe, he might be benefiting from a talent-laden roster. Yes, he was the MVP before, but that team wasn't that good. I think they scratched the surface in the lockout year or the bubble. They made it to the conference finals, and Jamal Murray gets hurt, and they only made it a second round. And it's because in Minnesota, you got Karl-Anthony Towns, number one overall pick in the draft, self-proclaimed best shooting big man to ever poop between two shoes. Shout out Mr. Alsted. It's because you got Mike Conley Jr., arguably top 10 point guard in the NBA, definitely one of the top players in NBA history, arguably a Hall of Famer. Never made an All-Star game, but still could be an argument for Hall of Famer. The guy that is a constant pro, does everything the right way. They do have the albatross known as Chris Finch, but we're not going to discuss that right now. That also is a good team. Oh, I almost forgot. They've got the Defensive Player of the Year, multiple time winner. They've got a guy who's one of the best paint protectors, despite what Draymond Green tries to tell us, in the NBA, Rudy Gobert. So that team has a little bit of talent there. Now, in Boston, they don't have Jason Tatum, although he does play in every game. If it's not the Sixers or the Bucks, he's going to disappear for it. If it's against the Miami Heat, he'll be okay. He won't be there in critical moments. If it's against the other top teams, it'll be Denver, Lakers, he'll have a couple good stretches. He'll disappear. This is what Jason Tatum does. So he checks all the boxes in that round. But the bottom line is when you consider this team, I mean, look at it this way. He is the number one, two, three option on this team. Jalen Williams is a guy that you can hope can do things in the playoffs, but hope isn't a plan. Shai continues to shine. He's the best player in a trade that was considered to be lopsided a few years ago. And while that may not go into evaluation of an MVP candidate, it should be considered the same way we considered Russell Westbrook's extenuating circumstances when he won the MVP a few years ago. And I believe he should have won the MVP, but it wasn't just because he averaged a triple-double. It was because he showed up and showed out without Kevin Durant. That's why a lot of people voted for him. Should be the same consideration and context for Shai Gill. He shows up and shows out with a roster that is kind of going to a gunfight with a knife. Let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is. If anyone started the season and said, yo, I got Oklahoma City, yo, I got put me down for OKC, top 3 team, Western Conference, we'd have looked at them like they were crazy. We'd have took their money and never thought about giving it back. We would have looked at them like they were crazy. Now, if they said play in, possibly 8, possibly 5 or 6, we'd say, yeah, okay, we can see it. If you squint a little bit and look side-eye, you might be able to see it. But when you're talking about arguably one of the best teams in the NBA, sniffing at the number one record in the NBA, fighting back and forth with a number one record in the Western Conference, no one saw that coming. Even these players' mamas didn't see this coming. Except for the guy that was trading for Paul George. Except for the guy that was I don't want to say centerpiece, but a player that a lot of people heard could be good, but didn't know could be good. A lot of people who thought, well, the Clippers got the better of the deal, and OKC's on the hook for a long rebuild. Well, the Clippers are behind the Oklahoma City Thunder at this point with the very player that they traded for. Pause. Think about that for a moment. That should be considered when voting for your MVP. It's not just the fact that he came in and gave you the numbers that he's giving you. It's the fact that he came in with the pressure, came in without the arsenal that these other dudes are getting, and he's delivering time in, time out. Now you see why those 30-plus points in 47 games, when you've only played about 54, it's that much more impressive. Quick. What's Oklahoma City Thunder's head coach's name? I'll wait. I got big ears. I'll wait. Exactly. We know who Mike Malone is, NBA journeyman, been around for years. I mean, the coach in Boston, Joe Mazzulla, we're not too thrilled about him. But they've got a better team than Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis. Again, Shai is going up against, I mentioned this before in a previous podcast about why I believe the Thunder are headed to the NBA Finals, because I see a lot of 2001 Allen Iverson and Shai Gill, and that's what I see. No matter what that defense does, he's going to find a way to get his team points. And it doesn't always have to be him shooting. You know what one of the top fourth quarter scorers are in the NBA? Jalen Williams. Whoa. How is that even possible? Well, because you got a game plan that's designed to stop one dude. If you were to watch any OKC game and you pause that film, you'll see 5, 10 eyes on Shai at all times. So he's recognizing that. He's getting the other players involved. Chet Holmgren is a cute player, good player, could possibly be a top player in a few years. He ain't that dude right now. He missed a full season and is still arguably up for Rookie of the Year. Probably going to lose the window. Wembyama. I'm going to lose the victory. And no one's going to bat an eye. He's their third option. Think about that. He's their third option. And then the number one team in the year. Excuse me, number one team in the Western Conference. This, again, it can be a discussion. It can't be a debate. It's not Joker this year. The numbers don't add up. The wins don't add up. And the production's not adding up. Joker's a tremendous player. It's not a shot at him. I'm not trying to diss. But Shai is that much better right now, playing at a much higher level. Better player, higher level. And he hasn't even gotten the help. Quickly, I'll do it for you this way. Let's take Joker and put Joker on OKC. What's OKC's record? Probably playoff contention. You put Shai on Denver's record, they're the number one seed in the NBA. Easily. Same team, same roster, switch players. You put Shea in Boston, say less. But you put Tatum in OKC, I don't even think they're a playoff team. You put Shea in Cleveland, Minnesota, same players, same roster. Take out Anthony Edwards, who I love. I enjoy watching it. It's one of the reasons why I have League Pass. You put Shea on that team, they're probably better than what they are record-wise, and they would probably play much smarter basketball. I love you, Ant, but you were late to a game. And while you had a tremendous block, you did miss the free throw that could have sealed the game. So let's put that all into consideration. And while the other players make mistakes, and I'm not saying Shea's perfect, but he's played perfectly. And that's the point we all need to consider. So when you're thinking about the MVP, do it that way. If you were to take those dudes and put them on OKC, would OKC be where they are today? And a lot of you were going to say Joker this, Joker that. Remember when Murray went down? Second round exit. No, it doesn't matter because it was years ago. Okay. Say that if you want to. Believe that if you want to. Turn on the Western Conference Finals last year and tell me who the best player on the court was. And if you don't say Jamal Murray, you're lying to yourself. When Denver needed a bucket, they went to Murray. When Denver needs a bucket, Joker gets a lot of shots, plays well. But Murray's the guy that gets some of the critical buckets. Murray's the guy that makes that team go. I'm not saying that Joker's rims, but he ain't the engine. Murray's the engine of that team. And there's no dispute who the engine, the rims, the candy paint, the Corinthian leather is for OKC. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I said it 3 times. I'm going to say it one more time as I close it out. We can have a discussion on who the MVP should be, but there's no debate on who it is. It's one man, 3 words, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's it for this episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with Jules Kwame Fisher Jones. Again, if you enjoyed the podcast, like it, share, subscribe, comment, whatever your podcast platform allows you to do. Until next time, I appreciate your time here. You be easy.